Hey friends! So today, as I'm recording this, I have crossed the threshold of 6 months into remission for stage 4 metastatic melanoma. Certainly a milestone that should be celebrated, and we're going to be doing a little bit of that today as I talk to you about how I feel. At the same time, I am going through a bit of a cancer scare. I have a lymph node in my neck that is a little inflamed. I have an ultrasound scheduled for tomorrow to see if there's any more reason for concern, but this gives me a good opportunity to really represent the reality of what it's like to live with advanced cancer. In my last video, I went over why this lymph node is scaring me, even though I got clean PET scans less than a month ago. And I don't need to get too much into the details surrounding like the uncertainty and the emotions going on in the midst of a cancer scare. What I do want to talk about is how being an advanced cancer patient kind of forces you to take everything at face value, and how I can kind of apply that today to both calm myself down and acknowledge that, yeah, 6 months into remission, this is a pretty big deal. When you're a cancer patient, especially a young adult with an advanced diagnosis like myself, it changes the way you look at the world. There is 100% a before cancer version of myself and an after cancer version of myself, and that experience is ubiquitous to cancer patients. I've talked to thousands of them online, and I haven't heard one who was just like, nah, I'm the same. So when that occurs, you get used to your goalposts in life being shifted dramatically and often. If you asked me 6 years ago how I would feel about being a cancer patient in remission at the age of 35, I would have looked at you like you were crazy and told you that sounds terrible. If you had asked me 9 months ago during my second diagnosis how I would feel about being in remission at the age of 35, the same year after I was diagnosed with stage 4 metastatic melanoma, I would have looked at you like you were crazy and said, that sounds wonderful given my diagnosis and prognosis. So yeah, pretty dramatic goalpost shift between 6 years ago and today, but that's how life works for everyone, not just cancer patients. We're always dealing with new information and new variables and new challenges, and if you don't adapt and try and make the best of them, you're going to end up scared, frustrated, whatever list of negative adjectives. Instead, I'd rather zoom in a little bit more to this last 9-month time period in which I was dealt a bad hand and now I'm trying to make the best of it. One of the ways I've made the best of it, and one of the things I should be celebrating as I'm sitting here 6 months into remission from my second advanced diagnosis, is the support system that I've kind of lucked into, kind of built, and my approach to the mental health side of things, which I've kind of lucked into, kind of built. I think those are two of the things we can focus on most to improve our chances of making it through a serious diagnosis and debilitating time period like cancer. Whereas the physical side of things, like sure, there's a moderate amount of control that you can have through diet, exercise, the best doctors, the best treatments, but ultimately it's going to come down to a lot of luck and genetics and the science advancing, which I personally don't control, and I think that I could spend my time better on focusing on the things that I do, such as who's around to help me through the bad times and how I feel as it relates to scary things like, a lymph node, or the actual scary things like a diagnosis, or the aftermath in remission, which has its own set of weirdness, trials and errors, negative emotions, positive emotions that I'm learning how to deal with. But ultimately, the common denominator in helping me move forward during all these scenarios has been talking about it. And maybe that's the thing I should be celebrating most right now as I sit here. I talk about the fourth wall element of this stuff all the time because realistically speaking, this is just a small YouTube channel. It's me recording into a camera and I'll edit it on Canva when I'm done with this, and that's the entirety of it. And it's a function of, mental health for me just to speak into the void, but then the feedback loop that I've gotten from this has been incredible. I don't know if you guys have seen my first post or if I've talked about it too much recently, but my first post ever was just a means of getting communication out to my friends and family after my diagnosis in February. I made it one day after I was diagnosed because I kept getting calls and texts and emails and people saying, what's going on? Are you going to be okay? How are you feeling? And I just didn't have the bandwidth for it. So I made a video and I posted it on YouTube, and all of a sudden I noticed that it wasn't just my friends and family who were responding to it. There was a community of cancer patients and their loved ones and people who were concerned about my well-being, but also who wanted to learn. And I thought, okay, this is something I want to engage in. I want to help myself and I want to help others. And as I kept going, there were distinctly levels to it. The next level was, okay, I'm starting to engage not just my own friends and family about my own diagnosis, I'm starting to talk to a broader community. So how do I approach the mental health elements of things from a broader perspective? How do I talk about it in a way that isn't just my own experience? So I learned more. I got onto Twitter. I started talking to more people there. I started, getting more opinions on one side and getting more facts on the other side that I could provide in videos that I make right now. And the entire time, it was remaining an outlet where I could just talk about my own experience concurrently, which again is wildly beneficial. It's one of the things that I'm happiest that I stumbled into, which ties back into my previous thought. Some of this is luck or stumbling into things, but also some of it is putting a concerted effort into something that I think is wildly beneficial for myself and others, and all of a sudden there's a community that I can trust, I can rely on. For example, when I'm posting things about a cancer scare like this, or when I'm posting things about how I feel relative to my health or my family or things that I might want to accomplish in real life, I know that I can get good and qualified feedback, not only from people I've met online by posting about these things, but yeah, my friends and family still watch these videos, and so people in real life can come check on me. I get calls and texts after I post a video or I tweet, and people are saying, hey man, you doing all right? You need to get coffee or food, or can we sit down? How can I help you? And I'm creating insulation around myself that will help during the most turbulent times. I don't know what this is going to be. I hope and think it's going to be nothing, but there's going to be other versions of this cancer scare throughout my life, if not other diagnoses. I also know that I'm going to run into other problems, but the more that I talk about them publicly, the more that I ask for help from people who are willing to give it, and I reciprocate that as best I can, the better support system will exist for me down the line. So maybe as I'm winding down what I thought was going to be a 6-month retrospective on Remission, it's becoming more of a 9-month retrospective on what this has become, what all of these bigger communities have become to me and hopefully to other people. All I can say is thank you for continuing to watch throughout this time, because clearly there is no feedback without people who are willing to give it. And without you watching and helping me create a broader conversation for cancer patients and their loved ones, this would feel kind of empty and meaningless, and I'd just be speaking into an iPhone camera like I'm doing right now. No, but seriously, it really means a lot to me that the talking that I do gets converted into useful information for myself and other people. So I'm going to keep saying the same goal that I do at the end of these things. I'm going to try and keep doing this and producing more and more quality videos for you guys to interact with. It really means a lot to me. It helps my mental health every time I get to do this. And 6 months into remission, pending a cancer scare, hopefully longer into remission, I want to keep doing this for as long as I have the bandwidth to do it and the means to do it in a meaningful way. So that's all I've got for today. Thank you so much for your time. If you want to like this video or subscribe to my channel, that would be awesome. But the end of the video is not the pushy place to do it. I'll figure out how to do that better one of these days too. That's all I've got for now. Thank you so much. Bye.